of NCAA Division II universities from Arizona and Utah to California and Hawaii. It's the most beautiful and diverse athletic conference in the entire NCAA. This is Commissioner Bob Hogue, inviting you to join our outstanding coaches, student athletes, and administrators as we talk about the great excitement in the PacWest. Now here's Assistant Commissioner Tom Di Camillo, live from our studios in Santan, Arizona.
Hey, welcome to the Santan Valley. Tom Di Camillo, Joe Carrera. We are live for PacWest Radio, and it is a beautiful day in the neighborhood, as we like to say here, Joe. It's actually, we're going to get more monsoons this weekend. You going to get more floods back there?
Absolutely.
It's, I wonder, can you take a raft and, go down those?
Absolutely.
Oh, that sounds like a lot of fun.
You just don't want to get washed into the branches and the horse pies and all that nice stuff,
But while it's hot here in the desert, the season for the Pacific West Conference is also going to be heating up. We are a little over a month away from the start of the 2012-13 campaign. The PacWest expanding to 14 colleges and universities this year, also expanding to 15 athletic programs, 15 sports, going from 11 to 15 this year. So the conference has grown. You can check us out on the website at thepacwest.com. We're also in the next few weeks going to be announcing some of our key academic awards, and those are the Scholar Athlete of the Year awards for each individual sport, and also the overall male and female Scholar Athlete of the Year, along with the Men's and Women's Athlete of the Year. But today we're going to get a hold of Bob Hogue, the Commissioner of the Pacific West Conference, and give Bob an opportunity to talk about the PacWest and the addition of Holy Names University and the addition of the four schools in the conference and four new sports. And it's just going to be – it's a terrific time for the Pacific West Conference. It's the largest NCAA Division II athletic conference in the West region, one of the largest across the country in Division II, and just a terrific
Hello, how are you?
And just a terrific an event that's taken place for the conference as it's grown. And Bob Hogue is going to be joining us here to talk about the growth of the conference and see where we're going with the PacWest. Bob, welcome to the program.
How are you doing there, Tom?
We're doing great. Joe and I are doing terrific. We got to get you back in the studio the next time you're in Arizona. We had a lot of fun when you were in studio the last time.
I remember that. It was a great time. I'm just so impressed with that studio. It's an amazing. It's like this incredible oasis in the vast desert of South Central Arizona.
It's I always say this is the best place probably to watch a Super Bowl in this studio. So, Bob, we wanted to have you back on again. As one season ends, another season begins. But probably the biggest news for the upcoming year for the Pacific West Conference is the fact that Holy Names University makes the conference 14 institutions. They're in the process for becoming a full-fledged active Division II member, and that just happened recently. We had Dennis Jones, the athletic director, on. We've had each of the athletic directors on of the new institutions. You've been with the conference now for multiple years and have really spearheaded the growth of this conference, and kind of talk about it from a perspective of where this conference was when you started and now where it is today.
It's really been quite an amazing journey. It's just sometimes when I look back and think about where we were and where we are and where we will be, it just absolutely boggles the mind. You came aboard, I believe, in late 2006. I came aboard in early 2007. You'll recall that our conference was literally like a phoenix rising from the ashes. The Pacific West Conference had almost dissolved a year or two before, and if not for the efforts of just a few schools, essentially four schools in Hawaii and Grand Canyon University, it would have disappeared. But they started it, and I have to give credit to your first boss of the conference, Woody Hahn, who was literally retiring at the time, and he helped keep it together with those schools. They were able to recruit Notre Dame, Dayton Muir, and Dixie State College of Utah and that's when I came in. And so from those 7 schools, we will have expanded this year to 14 schools and become the largest NCAA Division II conference in the West region. I believe that we might also be the largest NCAA conference of any division in the West region, in the states where we are, and if you include the northwestern part of the United States as well. I mean, it's been absolutely incredible. And when you couple that with who we are bringing in and where our teams have gone, for example, Cal Baptist came in this past year, won the Commissioner's Cup. Grand Canyon's shown vast improvement, won the Division II Learfield Cup. Azusa Pacific is coming in this next year. They just won the NAIA Directors Cup for, goodness sakes, I think the 8th straight year. We're probably the only conference at any level that can say we have 3 cup winners all in the same conference. That's how far we've come.
It's amazing when you look back at it. And I remember when I started in that 2006-2007 season and talking to some of the people in the conference. And I mean, at one point it kind of drifted down to the 4 schools in Hawaii, and then moved up and quickly Grand Canyon and Notre Dame and Dixie State were involved. But it really is amazing, the growth. I mean, it's almost unprecedented. And in an age where conferences have really rated other conferences for their growth, especially at the Division I level. You see that Division II level. Really, the PacWest has grown its own conference.
It really has, and the Division II has done a great job of trying to stabilizing as they've looked at what has happened at the Division I landscape. I mean, you see conferences in Division I, you don't even recognize them from what they were just a few short years ago, and there's no indication as to whether that growth is going to change or alter or what's going to happen. So, you know, what we have done during stabilizing times and to grow during this stabilizing effort in Division II is also just a great kudos to the people in our conference. We talked about the original 7. Let's also talk about the 7 who have come on. Academy of Art University, the only art university in NCAA, became an active member now in the NCAA after a 3-year process as they've gone through the membership process. And they just received word earlier this month that they are now an NCAA active member. Dominican University of California, just a beautiful campus up in San Rafael in Marin County, became an active member this past year. Then California Baptist, who came into the conference this past year, they moved up to provisional status. They had such a prolific first year. They won the Commissioner's Cup, including an unprecedented 6 titles in their first year. I mean, what a way to start off with a bang. And then you've got the newer members. All of them, in their own right, have great athletic and student-athlete traditions. Holy Names University, you mentioned, up in Oakland, Azusa Pacific in Southern California, Point Loma Nazarene University on the shores of the Pacific Ocean in San Diego, and Fresno Pacific in its great storied past in Central California. I mean, to add all of these programs to our original programs, I mean, we have come just an amazing journey in the past few years, and we're all excited to see what is going to happen. I mean, we're going to have a 40% growth this year as we go from, you know, we went to 10 teams last year. Now we go to 14. What that will mean with our competition is just incredible to even think about it. The growth is, as you said, is incredible. And when you look at the type of schools that have come in, it's probably, the PacWest is probably the most eclectic conference in all the NCAA. You have faith-based institutions, you have state institutions,
You have for-profit institutions, and you look at, like we talked about, where they came from. Some of the schools transferred from the NAIA and expressed interest in becoming Division II. You had a school like Academy of Art, again being active this year, that didn't have athletics, and they started it from the ground up. You had a school like Dixie State that was a 2-year college and went to 4-year. So it really sort of speaks to the PacWest that the conference administration and the member schools have been able to help these institutions become part of this conference because it is so different.
You're absolutely right. In fact, one of the comments that we talk about in our strategic plan is that we not only want to be the premier NCAA Division II conference, we want a diverse NCAA Division II conference. And we have really celebrated our diversity. And, I mean, when you stop and think about all the ways that we are diverse, it's not just in our geography, but it's culturally and ethnically and religiously and the type of institutions, and that we're really embracing this. I mean, that, I think, is a feather in our cap, and it speaks to the student-athlete experience that our PacWest athletes have. I mean, the opportunity to go to Hawaii and the Bay Area and Southern California and to the beautiful Southwest. No other student-athletes anywhere in the world can say they can do that in their conference. I mean, they might have little bits of it, but we feel like we've got it all. That's why we say we're the most beautiful destination conference in the entire NCAA, and we play really good ball, too.
You know, when you talk about being able to go to Hawaii and in the Southwest and the beauty and the travel and the cultural diversity and the experience for the student-athlete, because of the way Division II is set up, where in-region games and events are extremely important, these student-athletes also get to go to the Northwest. They get to go to Alaska, even sometimes into Canada to play like a Simon Fraser. It really is an opportunity for a student-athlete to grow away from the athletic side, but also it gives an ability for coaches at these institutions and the institutions themselves to recruit a wider base of student-athlete.
You're right, and I mean, just think about what those educational opportunities. It's not like, gee, I grew up in this neighborhood, I went to school in this neighborhood, that's all I've seen is this neighborhood. And you're right, we had the West Region Athletic Directors Summit this past June, and we talked about crossover opportunities. And you're right, a number of schools have gone to Alaska or Colorado or up to British Columbia or Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Montana, etc. And in some cases, they've even gone to other areas of the United States to play ball. You know, the Dakotas and Nebraska and Texas and New Mexico, and so that's great. Then we've had teams that have gone on and played in the national championships. Whether those were in the Northeast or the East or the Midwest. I mean, what an opportunity to be able to provide for these student athletes, because they're, when you go to college, it's not just what you do in the classroom, which our athletes, and we probably should speak about that, do exceptionally well. For example, our overall conference GPA this past year blossomed to a 3.07, which is absolutely amazing in itself. So the total student athlete is really getting an opportunity here with the classroom, with the geographic diversity, not only in our conference but throughout Division II and in the community as well. So we're just proud.
Bob, what most excites you? Is there anything that really sticks out that excites you about this coming year that you're really kind of looking forward to or intrigued by of how it might play out?
Well, I think there's two aspects of that. One, the excitement of just a much bigger conference with all of these outstanding athletic traditions. So, like the excitement of the unknown. How are our races going to stack up in the sports of volleyball and soccer and basketball and softball and baseball, etc.? But we're adding new sports as well. That's exciting. Now we've got not only women's tennis championships, but we'll have men's and women's tennis championships. We'll have not only men's golf championships, we'll have men's and women's golf championships. We'll have outdoor track and field championships, and we will be adding the PacWest men's and women's basketball tournament championships to our incredible inventory. And so we're excited about that, as we will be having it at the campus site this year at Azusa Pacific University. They've got a beautiful arena, Burns Arena there, and so we're really thrilled about that. So there's so many things to get excited about, including the unknown of how it's all going to come together.
It is an exciting time. I mean, you can't. We talk about that, all the time. But how does the PacWest? How does this shape up when you really look at the PacWest and you look at the West region and you look at the number of metropolitan areas that the institutions in the conference represent? We go through the list and talk about Honolulu, San Diego, L.A., San Francisco, Oakland, Fresno, Phoenix. It's sort of amazing for a Division II conference. It really stacks up in terms of metropolitan locations, even above a lot of Division I conferences.
You're absolutely right in that regard. Perhaps we should just add up all of the different metropolitan areas. I mean, Los Angeles is the third largest city, maybe even number 2 when you come to metropolitan area. I believe Phoenix, I think, has moved up to like number 5 in the nation in metropolitan areas. San Francisco, Oakland has got to be up there in the top 10 when you talk about metropolitan areas. I remember the former mayor of Honolulu always saying, when you just talk about city size, Honolulu was the 11th largest city in the United States with over a million people. And, we're just outside of Las Vegas. Fresno is now 400,000 people. San Diego is a huge metropolitan area. So we definitely serve not only our small communities of our schools. I believe the student athlete population, or the student population at our 14 schools, is around 70,000 on-campus students. But we not only serve them, but we serve the millions who are in their metropolitan areas that surround these campuses.
When you look at the new sports that we talked about adding, you had women's golf. PacWest had men's golf. You had men's tennis. PacWest had women's tennis. And, those sports are sort of natural fits because we've run championships with those before. But now you bring in a sport like track and field that's sort of totally a new product for the PacWest. It's very different than cross country, a lot bigger championship to sort of run. But it's something that developed pretty rapidly with the new schools that are coming in, and it's really exciting for the conference to have something like this.
Absolutely. 3 of the new schools that joined the conference this past year, Azusa Pacific, Point Loma, and Fresno Pacific, all had men's and women's outdoor track and field. Grand Canyon had a burgeoning program. In fact, so strong and up and coming are they that they just won the men's indoor national championships at the NCAA Division II level this year at Grand Canyon. Academy of Art has a men's and women's outdoor track and field, and California Baptist had also a men's and women's outdoor track and field, although in their case it was just their distance athletes, so they don't have the so-called field athletes on their team. But that's all you need to really start a conference championship program, is 6 programs. So these 6 programs, they got together and we supported them, and so we will have the first ever men's and women's outdoor track and field championships at Point Loma, beautiful facility there in San Diego, and this will be a great experience for our student athletes and those 6 schools. Whether other schools will follow with men's and women's outdoor track and field, we'll have to see. But we're glad that they're joining our growing list. As we mentioned, when you and I came aboard, we had 7 schools in 10 sports, of which only 5 of those schools were active NCAA members. This next year, 15 official sports. Okay, so we're up from 10 to 15, 14 schools, of which 9 are NCAA active. So, wow. How about the PacWest? Huh?
It's really grown. When the PacWest added track and field, and you look back, did any of that sort of momentum from you? Did you kind of think back to when baseball started? Because baseball had a Division I school in Hawaii Hilo at that point before they transitioned to Division II, Academy of Art. Just had a couple schools playing baseball, but we started it as an awards and sort of statistics conference the first year to get that momentum, and then went right into a conference. And now you're looking at baseball, 9, 10, 11 teams ultimately. When you saw how well baseball just grew in the conference, in your mind, did you kind of see parallels with track and field saying, hey, let's get that started?
Yeah, well, the difference in baseball, you remember, you were there at the exciting start of baseball. You're right, we had 3 Division II schools, 1 school that played at the Division I level, and we used we got together for this tournament idea. It actually came from one of our former ADs, had this idea like, why can't we get the other independent baseball teams, and looked around and saw a cluster of teams down in Puerto Rico, and we thought, like, hey, let's put something together. You and I talked about it. There used to be this thing in AAA minor league baseball where the International League and the American Association got together, and they called it the Little World Series. So that was back in like the 40s and 50s. So we borrowed that title. We started our own Little World Series. We had it at Dixie State. We invited schools from the PacWest and Puerto Rico, and we started with that impetus of those 6 teams. That was us getting together, and that became the impetus of starting the league the next year with just 4 schools. So we had, 4 to start. Then it became 5, and now it's going to be up to 10. With California Baptist this last year. Won the league. Dixie State, however, because they're an active NCAA institution, had the highest ranking and highest seeding ever of one of our PacWest baseball teams, and went to the regional finals. So, that's an indication of how far we've come with baseball. And when you add powerhouses now, because we are adding powerhouses in Azusa Pacific, in Point Loma, and Fresno Pacific to our mix, along with a brand new program at Holy Names, this is a 10-school baseball league that is really going to have to be reckoned with.
Are there changes coming in the West region for baseball? I know in the West region for Division II, there were only 4 schools that were accepted into the tournament, and the Southeast, I think, had 8, where the rest of the regions had 6. Is there some equity ultimately coming with that?
Yes, in baseball as well as men's soccer, which have been burdened with the fact that only 4 schools would qualify for the NCAA regionals. Now that number beginning this year will be up to 6, and so that's very exciting. We've had, along the way, especially in men's soccer, we've had teams that have been on the bubble and have been bounced out, coming in number 5, and now with the regional brackets being expanded to 6 in the West. That's great news for baseball, great news for men's soccer. Remember, only the NCAA active schools, those 9 schools that we talked about, the original 7 plus Academy of Art and Dominican, are eligible this year to advance to NCAA competition. Next year, Cal Baptist will advance into that NCAA active role, and then the others will follow in the next 2 years. So this is a great opportunity for our schools to showcase themselves in the regionals. In the past couple of years, we've had the national champion in softball. We've had national runners-up in the national championship game in men's basketball and in women's tennis. We had Grand Canyon, who did not, participate in indoor track and field in our conference, but won a national championship in indoor track and field. So we're just really proud of what our teams are doing on the national stage, and we're hoping with these expanded brackets we can get even more into the NCAA tournament.
In terms of men's soccer and baseball, what is status with automatic qualifiers and for conferences, especially in the West region? Or is that something that's coming eventually?
Well, like in men's soccer, for example, they do not have a large enough field on the national level to get a so-called automatic qualifier. In baseball, we will soon have an automatic qualifier. That'll actually be next season, not this season, because you have to have 6 active members who play a sport, and so that'll happen for us next year. But all of the other sports, we have what's called an AQ, an automatic qualifier. So women's soccer, women's volleyball, where last year we sent 3 to the NCAA tournament, men's and women's basketball, softball, women's tennis, men's golf. We have AQs in all of those sports, and so we send either our champion or our highest qualifying active NCAA member. We will send them to the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, we're talking with Bob Hogue, Commissioner of the Pacific West Conference here on PacWest Radio. Tom Di Camillo along with Joe Carrero, and Bob's calling us, live from Newport Beach in California. And even with the changes in the conference, Bob, the conference office made a big change about almost a year ago, moving from Honolulu to California.
Yes, we did. We moved. We couldn't move exactly in the center because we'd be floating in the middle of the Pacific, but just about as close to the center geographically as we could come here in Orange County. We've had our meetings in the Orange County area with our athletic directors and our presidents. We'll have our SAC, which is our Student Athlete Advisory Committee meetings in Orange County this upcoming fall. We added to our staff, as you know, it used to be just you and me, Tom.
Yeah, it was.
Now we've got, Jane Texera is our Assistant Commissioner for Compliance, and she works with me full-time here in Orange County. Wayne Coito has been doing a great job with us as well. He takes on the role of multimedia specialist this year, overseeing our video efforts with our television show. You, of course, do this fantastic job as our Assistant Commissioner of Media Relations with our radio show and our conference website. So we've come a long way. Heck, check out our YouTube channel. Go to and see what we've got there. I mean, with thousands and thousands of views. There's so much excitement in the PacWest this year, and we're just glad that we're able to pat ourselves on the back and have this radio show and talk about it a little bit.
It's good. But Joe's YouTube website for KQCK is really getting thousands and thousands of views, and he's posted a lot of the PacWest radio shows now up because you can obviously watch us live as we're doing this, and they are now, as of last night, there are a whole bunch of the past shows on our website for people to just go to the front page and take a look, and you can see the studio that Bob was describing. And it's just, we're really excited. The season gets underway a little bit more than a month here, Bob, and we're going to probably open up volleyball, and then the soccer will be the first sports, and then basketball championship, first basketball championships will take place, March 7th, 8th, 9th, I believe the dates are?
Those are the right dates, so we encourage everybody to go to our website at thepacwest.com and check it out. All of our exciting races. You're right. The season will begin in earnest. Non-conference wise at the end of August, and then conference wise early to mid September, and we'll be going strong all the way till May, and you'll be, of course, given accolades on the radio, and we'll be reading about it on the website and sending out great releases, and people will check out our television show, and there'll be so much for us to pump up the PacWest about.
It's going to be a very exciting, hectic, fun year for the Pacific West Conference. Bob, thanks for joining us. We hope to get you next time in the Phoenix area. We want to get you into the studio for the show, and we look forward to talking to you again in the fall here as the season gets underway.
All right. Well, enjoy that great studio. I know you'll be jumping into the jacuzzi in just a couple of moments. So, have a great day.
All right, you too. Bob Hogue, Commissioner
Bob.
of the Pacific West Conference, joining us live from Newport Beach. Next week, Jane Textera will be joining us. She's the Assistant Commissioner. She coordinates all the compliance issues, and we'll have Jane on for the first time. And she will, next Thursday at noon Pacific Daylight Time, and she's going to talk about compliance, and it's going to be a really fascinating show because it's that sort of the back end of the conference office that doesn't get a lot of glamour, but it's an important part because when you mess up with compliance, that's when the media kind of jumps all over you, and we've seen that today, throughout college sports when things go wrong. But Jane will talk about how people do things right and how all that works. So, Joe, we look forward to seeing you next week, same time, and we'll hopefully you won't float away this weekend. Nice. All right. Thanks, Tom. For Joe Carrero, I'm Tom Di Camillo. Thanks for listening to PacWest Radio Live on KQCK.
Got pain? Call Dr. Wayne. Chiropractic care may be your answer. Queen Creek Back Care. Located in Queen Creek on 20231 East Ocotillo Road on the backside of True Value Hardware Store. Safe, effective treatment with chiropractic and